What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 84. This is part one of week 14's review. Obviously, today we're going to go over the week that was in week 14. And kicking it off with me tonight from Denver, Colorado, after just watching the Home Run Derby, Jason Ashby. Jason, did you enjoy the Home Run Derby this evening?
I did. I'm rocking the Pete Alonso Home Run Derby shirt from 2021. Didn't have the same success that he did 2 years ago, but it's good to see our polar bear, making an appearance. And and I know Julio Rodriguez didn't win the Derby, but what a performance he put on. So yeah, it was a good show. It was absolutely a good show.
It was an amazing show. Randy Arozarena and Vlad Guerrero in the finals. My other co-host was rooting for just a great show. I think we got one here. Ben Nisman, how are you feeling this evening, sir?
Feeling great, Joe. And just to move over to what we're about to discuss, it has been really, really not only exciting, but a fun first half of fantasy baseball. This first 14 weeks, I don't think we could ask for much more. We've had a lot of upsets, a lot of unpredictability, and I expect a lot more in the following weeks.
Absolutely. Now let's get going, boys, because it is All-Star Week. We get this show. We get the second part coming up later this week. And then next week, we do all of the fun stuff. Record books. We look back on the bets that we made. All kinds of good and fun shows are coming up for you guys. So look forward for that. But Jason, this is the one that we're going to start with, buddy, and we're going to start with your matchup against Mike Sherman. You said off air you didn't even want to look at this thing. Tell me how much you are just hurting after this 15-6 beatdown.
Yeah, this was not a fun week. I knew going in, that I was going to be in for it against Sherman. I feel like, and I said this to you in a text too, like, I feel like Sherman is one of the easiest managers to sleep on, and that makes him one of the most dangerous managers in the league. Like, because he doesn't make the moves, that some of the other managers do in the league. But whatever it is, he just comes out of nowhere and just lays the smackdown on you. It was a rough week.
I would say so, and it seemed like it was just that way the entire week. You just couldn't get your gears turning here. Nothing changed from Saturday into Sunday, so we've got a 15-6 all the way through. Jason, on your bench this week, you went 2 for 18.
Well, that's pretty nice.
Ben, what's that batting average?
1 out of 9. 136.
111.
Yeah.
With 2 runs and 5 strikeouts, none of that plays. A couple of moves this week. You dropped Tyler Rogers for Colby Allard, 5 innings, a homer, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 5.40, and a 1 whip. You dropped Domingo Germán. So Domingo Germán throws a perfect game. You can't get a second week on your roster, Jason. That's pretty rough, man. You dropped him for Andy Ibanez, who went 0 for 3. You dropped Jose Miranda for Oscar Colas, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Colby Allard gets dropped for Nick Gonzalez, 2 for 4 with a strikeout. Miguel Castro dropped for Sam Hentges, an inning, a bomb, a walk, a strikeout, an 18 and a 4 with a relief appearance. You dropped Sam Hentges for Nate Pearson, an inning and a third, a save, an 0.75 whip, and a relief appearance. Surprise save at a Nate Pearson. How'd you like that?
Yeah, it was a doubleheader, and so I had a feeling that if he was going to get into a game, that I know the bullpen had been taxed. So yeah, I wasn't expecting the save necessarily, but I knew he was going to come into the game.
Yeah. You dropped Andy Ibanez for Tony Kemp, 0 for 4, strikeout and an error. Yee. Yeah. You added Zach Davies, which was a waste. He never got into the game for you. You added Edward Cabrera, who's on the IL. You added Will Benson, who was benched, and you dropped Tony Kemp for Nick Pivetta, who did not appear.
The Pivetta and the Cabrera, obviously Cabrera's for later. The Pivetta's for next week, and the Davies, I picked him up as a back pocket play for Sunday in case I needed another pitcher. And honestly, I was so torn with what to do all week. I ended up working that I didn't throw him on Sunday, but I almost regretted it. But that was the rationale behind that one.
Okay. because like those four, especially when you're down like this, is really like it just makes me question what's happening here at the end of the week. For your MVP this week, we're going to talk about Christian Yelich, man. Like what a season this guy is having. 367 with a 424, 8 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, a homer, 6 RBIs, 3 steals, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Wow. The least valuable hitter, Pete Alonso, 087 with a 250, 2 runs, a bomb, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, 11 big strikeouts is yucky. The Cy Young this week, we're going to give it to Tariq Skubal, 8 innings, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 050. Where'd you find that guy?
Off the IL. I stashed him. I've been stashing him and Eduardo Rodriguez, who we might talk about, but because I knew those guys were going to come back. I knew they had safe spots in the Tigers' shitty rotation, so I got to give him a shot.
It won't be Eduardo Rodriguez that we're going to talk about. We're actually going to talk about Andrew Abbott. 4 1/3, the loss, 2 bombs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, a 1246 middle ages, and a 231. Now, this kid is a bright spot for the up-and-coming Cincinnati Reds team here.
Yeah, and so he started on Friday. I had him, Dylan Cease, and Corbin Burns were all starting on the same day. He was going against Burns, and I almost benched all 3 of them. This is where I was like, I could not figure out. I couldn't get out of my own way. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I almost benched all 3 of them, and then at the last minute, I started all 3 of them and figured maybe something good will happen. They were all just mediocre to bad.
Yeah.
Looks like it. For
Joe,
Mr. Sherman.
Before you get into Mike's bench, did you want to do the close categories? Because you just kind of jumped over.
I did that, didn't I? Well, then that's not a terrible
That's
idea.
what I'm doing here.
Just keeping me in check, huh?
That's all I can do.
Jason won by 2 doubles and 11 ticks on the batting average. Sherman wins by 3 runs, the triple, 2 homers, a strikeout, 8 ticks on the on-base percentage, a save, and 3 ticks on the ERA. Jason, this is one of those weeks where you just have to sort of shake your head and go, all the coin flips fell his way.
Yeah. It was, and that's what made it so hard. It was like everything was so close, but like nothing was working. I tried so many different things offensively and on the pitching side, and nothing was working. It was just I just had to throw my hands up and go, okay, moving on.
Mm-hmm. All right, for Mike Sherman this week on his bench, Benji, he goes 6 for 26.
It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
234.
231, damn close. 2 runs, a homer, 3 RBIs, a walk, 5 strikeouts in the error. The 5 strikeouts certainly would have played, so good keeping those out of your lineup. Otherwise, that's about it. For the transactions this week, he dropped Garrett Whitlock for Joe Jimenez, got a clean inning and relief appearance. Dropped Matt Manning for Ian Jabot, another clean relief appearance. Dropped Connor Siebold for Clark Schmidt, 5 innings, a win, 2 bombs, 7 strikeouts, a 5.40 and a 1. And then dropped Jamison Tyone for Brent Honeywell, 1/3 of an inning, a strikeout, and a 27 and a 3. I mean, not that one. That one was not good. The MVP this week, Jason, this guy tore you apart, Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, 345 with a 387, 4 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, 2 bombs, 5 RBIs, 4 steals, a walk, and 7 strikeouts.
And this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Like, I mean, you saw the line from Christian Yelich, and then you have this. So it's like, what can I do with that?
He basically matched Christian Yelich, and then the rest of the team sort of out-hit him. The one guy that didn't hit this week is Tommy Pham, 130 with a 259, a run, a steal, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. He won the stolen base category by 3, so that was the only contribution Tommy Pham made of note. Though I will say, Jason, it must also be frustrating to get 8 steals and lose.
Yes, it is.
His Cy Young this week, Jose Barrios, 7 innings, a walk, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 0.29. Just sort of rub that in there on you, Jason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the Cy Yuck is Christian Javier, 4 1/3, 2 bombs, 4 strikeouts, a 16.62 and a 2.08. Not great. Now, Benji, when we look at these two teams, Jason was certainly in the fight up until this week and took a really hard tumble. He's obviously still in this thing, but where do you think Jason ends up? Is this a playoff team?
It certainly has the capability. My biggest concern with Jason is when we talk about scheduling right now, Jason's isn't as favorable as some of those others that are above him and even some of the ones below him. And that's what concerns me. Jason already had his matchup with Matt Losey I think in the last month or so. So he doesn't face him again. I don't think he faced Christian again. So I could be wrong on that one though, but
I think I do.
Okay, so maybe you face Christian. I know you don't face Losey.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then this is one that you'd argue, okay, Mike Sherman, he's not really a hard, like aggressive manager. That maybe that's one that you gotta, at least if you're gonna lose, maybe an 11-8 would have felt a little bit more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a very good team and a very balanced team, and the stats show it. One thing to note is that Jason did win a couple of close categories here, like winning doubles by 2, thanks to his MVP for the week, thanks to his first round draft pick, and thanks to a couple of the guys that he made mid-season, like having Devers in a trade. He got 2. Ahmed Rosario, he got 2. So that's something that's big to note, because one stat that actually was still gettable for Mike Sherman going into Sunday was batting average. Like, it was razor thin going into Sunday, and at least that got separated. Like, if that gets flipped, then we're talking about 16-5. So I think there is something to hang your hat on here, Jason, that it actually could have been worse here. And at this point, yeah, you kind of wipe the slate clean and say, all right, move on to next week. But it could have been worse. Like, this isn't a huge meltdown. And I think if I have to look at one glaring issue that happened throughout the week, it was when you decided to play all 3 of those guys. Because if you don't, then you can still navigate a way to win innings pitched and strikeouts. But when ERA is lost that closely, then all you had to do was maybe bench one of those 3 guys, or 2, or all 3, and you win that category, maybe win whip as well, and then you find a way to win innings pitched and strikeouts later. So that's the biggest mistake that was made. But if I was in your shoes, maybe I'd do the same thing. Like, it's a very, very tough play, especially when you have the 2 pitchers pitching against each other.
Yeah, and because I think going into Friday, I think it was, or somewhere around there, his ERA was like in the 8s, and mine was still in like the 4s. So I was like, okay, let me put the gauntlet down. Let me crush innings and strikeouts, and hopefully I can still keep ERA. And eventually we crossed, and he took ERA at some point. And by Sunday, I managed to somehow, with my relievers, I had a good Sunday with relievers. That helped bring it down to just barely getting it back.
Yeah, it's almost like a tease when you get it down that much, but just not enough to flip the category. One other thing that I was kind of surprised to see is a very big discrepancy between the relief appearances. The fact that Sherman got 19, you got 12. That was one that going into the week, I thought that you would basically have easily. And I guess were you not going for it really? Was it just that they were?
Yeah, you know what? I was trying. I really wanted to hang on to Miguel Castro. I really wanted him to be, I thought between him and Magoo, like those would be the guys for Arizona. But like the first game I had him, he blew up, and luckily it was against the Mets, which was nice. But so I had to kick him to the curb. And then the kid from the Guardians, same thing. Like, I want him to be the guy. He just was not good. So yeah, the relief appearances were tough to come by. I wanted to see more McGuff, whatever his name is. He only came in twice. So yeah, it was a weird bullpen week.
Jason, the one thing I'll say is that off air, you were saying that we you were getting some bad luck in the scheduling when you've got now a long week against Bobby Russo. I'll let you speak to that as well.
Yeah. I am not looking forward to this long week against Bobby Russo. The first week of the season I had Christian, so that was the first long week. So and I came out on top on that. This week against Bobby, I'm gonna do everything I can, but I'm not feeling great about it.
Right. And on the other side, I have a long week against Mike Sherman, and I'm not feeling too good about that. There's just a lot of guys on Mike's team that are pretty steady, like Ronald Acuna, Ozzy Albies, to a lesser extent, Andrew Vaughn was having a decent year. Now, for whatever reason, Matt McLean is good. So there are some pests that I'm going to have to be dealing with.
And that's the thing, like when Ronald Acuna is not his MVP of the week, that means something.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it's usually a beatable week.
Yeah.
He's usually got a beatable team the weeks that Acuna is quiet, but
yeah.
And it's not like he had a bad week. I mean, he stole him a couple of bases and only struck out once. So,
right.
Now you got to also look at the fact that Sherman is 7 under. Now, I know that we don't really kind of connect him to being a playoff team, but if he has a decent week against me, let's say he wins 12-8. Now we're talking that he's right in the hunt there with 7 weeks to go. Obviously, a lot would have to break his way, but it's such a dangerous group of players between the offense and the pitching that it's possible it could happen.
Yeah, he's going to have to put together some good weeks, but he's certainly in the hunt should he get himself a couple of good wins.
At the very least, he could do to other teams what he did to me, and ruin people's seasons. Yeah,
spoil seasons.
So, I mean, what about you, Jason? I mean, the fact that you did take this loss, that you do have Bobby next, like, how are you personally feeling at this point?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with the scheduling, because after Bobby, I have Christian, but then it's Kostas and Frank and Henry and then Joe. Like, that's
your season, man.
That's not going to be easy street. So, I just got to hope that, my offense shows up, because I feel like when my offense shows up, I do good things. And if I keep hitting, 220s, 230s, it's not going to cut it.
Right.
Yeah, those are some good offenses you'll be facing over the next few weeks, especially Bobby, who's been red hot lately.
Yep.
Anything else to add on this one, gentlemen? Jason, what do we got up next, man?
Speaking of Bobby Russo, how about the 9-9 tie against our friend and co-host Mike Haber?
Yes, Mike Haber, hope you're doing well, man. We hope to get you back on the show next week, but anytime when you're ready. Let's jump into this 9-9 tie, Jason.
Yeah, so no move standings for either of them. Mike stays put in third, Bobby is in second, and but look, the top 3 teams are separated by half a game right now. Like, it's ridiculous. This was a fun matchup. Obviously, it's two of the best managers in the league, and Bobby had this thing most of the week, and then Sunday happened and Mike was able to bring in the tie. Let's hit on the close categories. Mike wins by 3 doubles, 3 wins, 2 losses, 2 saves, and 3 strikeouts by a pitcher. Bobby wins by 2 runs and 3 walks by a pitcher, and they tied in triples and errors. For Bobby on his bench, he goes 9 for 44.
Oh, it was that close, huh?
Yep.
208.
No.
Ooh.
205.
Bingo. Yep, 205. 6 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 3 steals, 5 walks, 12 strikeouts, and an error. None of that plays. He did bench a couple of.
The error would play. Yeah.
Huh?
The error
on the bench would have played.
Yeah. The error would have played. But he did bench also 2 starts, one from Johan Oviedo against the Dodgers and one from Kyle Gibson against the Twins. That was on Sunday, and that would have flipped if he started them. That would have flipped innings. He would have had
innings pitched for sure.
Inning picks and strikeouts.
But would he lost walks in the process?
Yes.
2 walks, 3
He would
walks.
have given up. I think Gibson gave up a homer, didn't he?
Gibson gave up 1 homer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So even if he loses walks by doing that, he's flipping 2 to untie 1 and lose 1. So he would have been better off still pitching both, but
he would have tied walks. Walks would have been tied.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Tie
1 that you're already winning, lose 1 you're already tied in, and flip 1.
Yeah, he should have played him. It's hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, of course. He even texted me that day. He was like, I should have played Gibson. And I'm like, well, it would have been a little bit of a wash. He's like, no, it would have come out better. So he recognizes that he should have played him. But again, this is one of those matchups where I think either one of these guys really, really would have appreciated getting the win, because this all of a sudden makes the tiebreaker in the playoffs really interesting.
Yes, well said. And neither one of these guys is a definite shoo-in for the playoffs with all the craziness that's going on. I mean, if one of these 2 teams, if not both of them, just go through a bad stretch for 4 or 5 weeks, they're all of a sudden in trouble. So yeah, it's interesting to see like both of these teams kind of sweating at a certain point during the week. For Mike Haber, I mean, he was down pretty deep. Like, I think at some point it was like 16-4 or like 17-3. Like, Bobby had a pretty significant lead going into the weekend. And yeah, those stats were close, but it's still nice to look at and see, okay, like if I can hold it down here, and here, then at least I can find a way to get a win. And then every day, Mike would make a little bit of a comeback on some of the stats. And then I did not see this turning into a 9-9 tie. I thought at the end, 11-8, 11-7, with a good amount of tied categories at the end. Turns out, yeah, we did get 3 tied categories here. But at the same time, it's just like, it's amazing, like what Mike Haber was able to do based on how down in the count he was.
Yeah. For Bobby's
transactions?
Yep. There was only 3 of them. He dropped Tristan Kostas for DJ LeMahieu, 1 for 4. He dropped LeMahieu for Corey Julks, 0 for 3, and he dropped Julks for Kyle Gibson, who was on his bench for that start. So that was it. For his key players, his MVP, finally talk about Jay Cronenworth. 350 with a 417, only 1 run, 2 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. It's amazing that he can have a 417 on base and only score 1 run. He was on base all week long and only scored 1 run.
And the only run he scored was when he hit a homer. Yeah,
exactly. Ohtani. I think it was off Ohtani in July 4th.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty incredible. His least valuable hitters, well, Corbin Carroll and Heimer Candelario, he had trouble getting them both into the lineup this week. Both of them were banged up here and there, and he just never figured out when to get them in. Corbin Carroll didn't score a run, 167 with a 286, an RBI, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Candelario, 211, 318 with 3 runs, a double, a home run, RBI, a steal, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. Also, Lars Newbar had 12 strikeouts, but I think it's the Carroll. That was rough not being able to get him in. He missed a 2-run home run from him earlier in the week. A couple stolen bases later in the week, so there was some trouble getting Carroll into the lineup.
And he also had that shoulder injury this week, didn't he? Like he swung a bat and like almost tore his shoulder out of socket or something.
Right, and that was against the Mets, and I think that's when kind of the trouble started, was not knowing, like just figuring that this guy was going to hit the IL and not even think that he was even going to play the next day, and he played the next day. Like
the Mets broadcast actually mentioned that, Jason. I didn't
I know.
Believe that he was in the lineup the next day.
Yeah. Let alone not on the IL. Like it was really incredible.
Like a season-ending kind of injury.
Yeah, it looked
Exactly.
so much like Tatis. It wasn't even like I'm just like, yep, there he goes.
And he had surgery on the shoulder before, so like you would think that that's a red flag, but we digress. Let's hit on Mike's bench this week.
Do you want to do the Cy Young?
Probably
Cy
Cy
Young
Young.
and Cy Young and Cy
No,
Young?
how about that? Let's try that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
The Cy Young is going to be Aaron Savali. 7 innings, a win, 9 strikeouts, nothing earned, in an 0.29 WHIP. And the Cy Young, what a bummer for Aaron Bummer. An inning and a third, a loss, 4 strikeouts, a 33.75 and a 4.50 over 2 appearances.
Well, at least he struck out all of the outs he got.
Yeah.
Like
around the 33.75 ERA.
If we're gonna look for a silver lining in that shit, Stan.
Okay, now on to Mike. Who goes? Okay, this will be good. On the bench, he goes 4 for 16.
No, that's a 250.
That's a 250.
Like I didn't know that.
4 for 16 with 5 strikeouts. None of it plays. Well done. Yep,
Nice.
That's it. He used 9 ads. He dropped Fernando Cruz for Sean Armstrong, who he never got into the game. Armstrong was starting a game against the Phillies, but he dropped him before that game, so that ended up being a waste. He added Hyun-Jin Ryu for his IL spot, was coming back. Dropped Armstrong for David Peralta over 3 with a walk and a strikeout. He dropped Peralta for Fujinami from Oakland, but then dropped that guy right away for Brandon Walter, who never got into the game either. So those were a couple of wasted ads. Dropped Cisnero for Domingo Herman, our favorite perfect game. He did not throw a perfect game here, though, but he did throw 6 innings, gave up a bomb, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 150 and a 067 against the Cubs. Dropped Walter for Adcock, who also never got into the game. But it did become his team name, so that's interesting. Dropped J.D. Davis for Austin Slater, 1 for 2 with a walk, and dropped Mike Soroka for Sean Armstrong once again, and that's for going on to next week. For his key players, his MVP, I'm giving it to Cedric Mullins, only a 250 with a 321, but 3 runs, 4 doubles, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. The doubles is the only offensive category that he won for the week, so gotta highlight that. His least valuable hitter is going to be Marcus Semien, 069 with a 182, 3 runs, 2 doubles, a steal, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 2 errors. On the pitching side, his Cy Young is going to be Joe Musgrove because he loves to torment the Mets. 13 innings, 2 wins, a bomb, a walk, 18 strikeouts, a nice 069 ERA, and a 054 WHIP. And the Cy Young, he had a really good pitching week. So AJ Puck is the only one that had a double-digit ERA. 4 innings, a win, a loss, 2 saves, 2 homers, 8 strikeouts, an 11.25, and a 175 over 4 appearances. It was a very uneven week for Puck.
He got a decision in each one of the appearances: a win, a loss, and 2 saves.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Still nice to get 4 appearances out of one guy, though.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you guys specifically about this Sean Armstrong thing and kind of on a larger picture of it, because you had mentioned that the guy was going to be an opener. So when you guys specifically are looking at the starters and you see an opener, is it something that you value, or is it a guy you just cast aside and say, let somebody else deal with it? Ben?
It really depends on the situation.
Sure.
It depends on the score. It depends on when in the week it's occurring. So it's a tough question to answer. I went for it at a certain point just because ERA was fairly close at that point, and I thought, sometimes that opener, he is good for like 1 or 2 innings, so I feel comfortable. But sometimes I'm just thinking, if anything, maybe I should be going for the bullpen from that team just to get a relief appearance. So yeah, it's a tough question. It really depends.
Well, and that's kind of what I wanted to hit on here, because I've had this conversation with other managers, and the feeling that I have is the opener is only good for like the bad things that can happen. You're never going to fall into a win. You're not going to get a relief appearance. And if the guy's bad, you're going to be playing from behind the entire game with whatever walks or homers he gave up.
Or
I don't
potential
personally
loss.
like it. Yeah, of course. Jason, how are you feeling on that?
Yeah, I'm with you. I really don't pay attention to the openers. It's more the bulk guys that are expected to follow is what I'm usually more interested in, depending on who they're playing and what the situation is. But
Right.
To me, like a guy who's going to go an inning or two against the top of a team's lineup is you're just asking for trouble.
I have
Especially
a question for both of you.
Go ahead.
What do you guys think of the concept of having the opener in general, and when it comes to an actual baseball franchise? Like, it's not certainly something that's been going on for a very long time, and I can certainly understand the concept of doing a bullpen game once in a while, but what are your feelings on it as far as like from a franchise? Is it something that if the Mets were doing, you'd be frustrated that day because you feel like you're already potentially giving up a win, or you're thinking, oh, it's important to see the rotation? What?
I feel like there's kind of two avenues there, like, because you talk about an opener, and then is it a bullpen game where you're just going to have a string of relievers going, an inning or two, or are you having a guy come in, start the game with 1 or 2 innings, and then have a Sean Manaea or somebody throw 5 or 6 innings and cover that? In that scenario, I'm okay with it. But if you're going to just ask a bunch of middle relievers to pitch the entire game, I don't like that.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. The one thing I will say is that there's a bit of frustration with openers when it comes to whether or not they're going to go any more than 6 outs. And when they're facing these lineups, I can understand the idea of you saving that bulk reliever for starting at the bottom half of the order and then the second time through the order. If there's like a matchup thing that you're really trying to do. Example, let's say the opener is a left-handed guy and you're facing a team that has a bunch of left-handed bats starting off the lineup. That to me makes sense. At the same time, if your bulk guy is going to be a lefty, like, I don't know, say they turn David Peterson into a bulk guy and you're having, I don't know, Tommy Hunter open the game because he's right-handed. Again, I can see how that works. But to Jason's point, unless I'm trying to chase relief appearances, I don't particularly like all the middle relievers coming in to pitch a whole game, like an inning at a time.
Right.
And just to follow, just so I can throw my opinion on it, if I see any pitcher, and I mean, I've never been a major league coach or a minor league coach or anything close, but if I see a guy that just got 6 outs in a row, I feel like there should be some temptation to just keep him going. Like, it's like, oh, we got to stick to the script. We got to stick to the formula. Why not just like manage from the seat of your pants and see how far he can go? Like, if he gets into trouble, then you can make that decision. But I don't know. Maybe, again, like, I just think, like, when you look at the what was it, the 2020 playoffs with the Yankees, game 2, Deivi Garcia, right? Deivi Garcia pitches 1 inning, maybe he pitched 2 innings, and then time for J.A. Happ. Like, it's time to do this now, and they lost the game, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe they would have been better off if they just stuck with Deivi Garcia. I'm sure a lot of Yankee fans wishes that they did.
What a fun sidetrack I just put us on with opener conversation. Let's go back to Bobby and no, it's okay. It was my fault. I asked the question from a macro level because Mike decided to add Shawn Armstrong twice in a week. So there you go. Guys, when it comes to these two, barring some sort of catastrophic injury to the team or a slide of multiple weeks that we will be seeing in real time and talking about as it's happening, I think these guys are fairly safe for the playoffs. And one of them, probably more like both of them, but one of them potentially is going to miss the bye. Jason, of these two, who finishes third?
Well, first of all, it's interesting because in looking at the schedule, I didn't notice. I knew that I followed Mike in the schedule. I didn't realize Bobby follows me in the schedule.
Joe and I noticed that.
Yeah,
we noticed that because everyone that notices it like feels like, oh, this is the part of the schedule. It's Mike Haber, then Jason, then Bobby, then you get a little relief with Christian, and then like Sherman,
Yeah, it's so hard for me to count out Mike. I know he's going through a lot right now, but he still finds a way to make it happen. Which one's not going to make? Which one's going to be out of? I don't know. Everything's so razor tight right now. Mm-hmm. Put a name in a hat. Pick a name out of a hat. That's the one that's going to miss out on the bye. Like, roll of a dice.
I mean, I'm concerned about Bobby in so much as I'm concerned about Corbin Carroll. Like, this shoulder thing is not just going to magically go away. We're going to watch this for the rest of the year now. Every time he takes a massive swing, I'm going to be worried about whether or not his shoulder is going to stay intact. So for that reason alone, I'll take Bobby. But I certainly love this team. I can't tell you how much I'm loving what Bobby's doing this year. What do you think, Benji?
I'm proud of Bobby. And when I look at these two teams and I look at this matchup in general, it's the skill of Mike Haber is very prominent here. The fact that Jason mentioned, he won one positive offensive category, one, right? And he won it by 3 with doubles.
Yeah.
And then, he won strikeouts as well, ties errors. But here, like, if you knew going into the week, you were only going to win one positive offensive stat and end up with a tie, you'd say, like, how the hell is that possible? It shows to the skill of the manager. Bobby's team concerns me offensively. I know there are reasons to like it. Obviously, Rushman is just a star. And of course, Jose Ramirez, he will be. But there's just a bunch of names to me that still there is a lot that they need to prove. And I just don't necessarily believe in it. I realize Christian Walker had 30 bombs last year, but that was his best year. So it's hard to believe in it. We've stated our opinions about Cronenworth. Like, this was his best week, basically. Volpe, he's got reasons why he needs to be rostered, but he's not having a good year. TJ Friedel, who the hell are you? Why do you have a 300 batting average in baseball? Mm-hmm. Corbin Carroll, it's his first year, so I can possibly expect a second half slide. Lars Nootbaar, the same thing. Harrison Bader, can he stay healthy? I like Bobby's team as a whole, but there are more question marks than Mike Haber's team, in my opinion.
I tend to agree. And again, Corbin Carroll's having an unbelievable first half here as a rookie and is on his way to being the NL Rookie of the Year, so long as he stays healthy the rest of the way. And we've already seen that shoulder is starting to cramp up on him. I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it. Of these two, I would say Bobby's out of the bye, but I will not write Bobby off as not a playoff team. This team is, and he himself is hungrier than I think anyone in this league right now. He's certainly hungrier than he's ever been.
Yes, I'd agree with that, Joe. And again, 8 weeks is a lot. A lot can happen in 8 matchups. Like, literally anything can happen. But I think the fact that these guys are 20 plus games over and they are who they are as far as their management, it seems like it's imminent that they're in.
Absolutely. Anything else to add, Jason?
I think we're good.
What's the next one?
Let's talk about Ari Nisman taking a nice 12-9 victory over Frank Bucco. What a week this was. Ari
talk about having
jumps up 2 spots to 12th. Yeah. Yeah. So Ari jumps up to 12th, and this slides Frank down to 5th. Ari had this matchup all week. He really never wavered. Never lost the lead at all. It was pretty much just a clean, dominant win. Let's look at the close categories here. Ari wins by 3 RBIs, 1 loss, and 2 saves, if you can believe that. Frank won by 2 triples, 3 steals, 3 wins, 2 walks by a pitcher. and then .00276498 on the whip.
Nice. How about them splitting
Okay.
saves and relief appearances? I love that.
Yeah.
I love that Ari
very
splits that with him.
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
On Ari's bench, 15 for 67.
Okay.
It's actually really good.
It is.
126.
Not that good.
No. I'm gonna go 226.
224.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
224, 8 runs, 4 doubles, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal, 9 walks, 16 strikeouts, and 2 errors. None of it plays.
Well done, Ari.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like the offense is dominated here. Like he won runs by a ton, doubles by 11, homers handily. Like everything seemed to be on his side.
Walks were lopsided.
And if it wasn't for some decisions that Frank made on Sunday, this could have been a whole lot worse. I mean, Frank, you could argue, saved his season on Sunday. Like, if this is really, really bad, like, I get Frank has, when we talk about schedules, Frank has one of the more favorable schedules of anybody in the last 8 weeks. But this could have gone really bad for him to win whip as close as he did without losing walks, going for the innings, going for the strikeouts. This could have gone bad in such a hurry if one of those guys shits the bed.
But I have to say, like, and we know that Ari plays with the big bench, and I was watching it all week long, and I was just every day I was just more and more impressed with how well his bench management was. Like, honestly, I don't know how much of it is luck and how much of it is skill, but it works. It works so well for him. I have to give my hat off to him for managing that.
And it's not like he's not changing it daily. Like, if he was sticking to the same 9 every day, but he finds a way to get everybody in and get them all playing time.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that didn't come in was Berger, and I don't even know how long he's had him on the team. Oh, Rayleigh also couldn't find a way, and he actually had a decent week. But but in general, they all find a way to get in the lineup. So, like, he's obviously looking at matchups and playing by the numbers to some extent.
Yeah, he's got a 296 in the lineup this week and a 224 on the bench. Yeah. You're doing well. You're doing really well.
Yeah. He made 2 adds. On Monday, he added Gene Segura over 2 with a run and a walk. Dropped Segura later in the week, and then picked up Danny Jansen on Sunday, 1 for 4 with a 2-run homer.
Oh, God, I was going to do that
too. His key players, MVP is Jorge Soler, 400 with a 467, 8 runs, 4 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. With a shout out to Josh Young with his 6 runs and 6 RBIs. But
Soler's having 4 bombs. When the hell did Joey Meneses wake up?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 7 RBIs.
This past weekend.
I mean, Suarez, like, I dropped this guy and Ari picks him up and he's lighting the world on fire. But the guy who's not is Shea Langeliers, 235 to 278, 3 runs, a double, a homer, an RBI, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. On the pitching side, Blake Snell's a Cy Young, 11 innings, 2 wins, 7 walks, 18 strikeouts, nothing earned, and a 136 whip.
That guy's filthy.
But Shane Bieber is not. 11 innings, a loss, 2 homers, 5 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 6.55, and a 1.82 over 2 starts. And one of them was against Kansas City, and that was not good either. So
that was on Sunday.
That was on Sunday, yeah. And that's it.
Your shout out to JP Sears, 12 and a third shutout too.
Yeah. He had some really wild pitching going on.
I mean, he threw a 2.74. That's really good.
Yeah. For Frank on his bench, he has nothing.
Yeah, he has no bench.
Absolutely nothing. But he did on Sunday, and Ben alluded to this. He benched Middleton, a relief appearance. You know, he had to pick a reliever to bench because he didn't have a spot in the roster for him. So he benched Middleton, and he was not good. He had a one whip, and that would have done it. Yeah. He also had a loss. He had a loss. He took a loss, a strikeout, and a whip over an inning, and that was all on the bench. So well done there.
Wow.
Yeah. For his,
I'm gonna throw luck on that one though, because that's just one of those like which one of these guys I'll pick you to not play today.
Yep, and that's exactly what it was. For his ads, he used 6. He dropped Monday Bryce Miller for Josiah Gray, which is a waiver claim, 5 innings, a loss, 2 bombs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 540 and 240 against the Reds. Dropped Luis Garcia and Will Brennan, picked up Garrett Cooper, over 4 with 2 strikeouts. Dropped Cooper the next day, who went 2 for 4 with a solo homer. Then Sunday happened. And Sunday he picked up Ben Lively, Steven Matz, Patrick Corbin, and Taylor Scott. Lively, 5 2/3, a loss, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 159 and a 106 against the Brewers. Matz, 5 1/3, 9 strikeouts, nothing earned, and 038 against the White Sox. Corbin, 7 innings, a win, a walk, 6 strikeouts, a 129 and 086 against Texas. And Taylor Scott, well, we talked about openers, right? An inning and 2 whip. And that's what you get with an opener.
Yeah.
What do you got, Benji?
You want to talk about luck? When you hear some of these stream pitchers, who was left in free agency? Him, and him go. They were awesome. Like that's the luck. That's the luck.
What's hilarious is there was one guy left, and I was thanking Frank when he was picking these dudes up because I didn't want James McCloskey to do it in our matchup. So here comes Frank with all of these streams, and I said, you may as well add Ryan Yarbrough. He's the last guy left, and he went, nah, no thanks. That guy sucks. He went out and threw 7 shutout 2 or some garbage.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Let's hit on Frank's key players. His MVP, our good friend Francisco Lindor, 440 with a 500, 7 runs, a double, 2 triples, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 4 steals, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 errors. Not pretty, but the rest of that line is just magnificent. Thank you for showing up this week, Lindor. The least valuable hitter is going to be Kyle Schwarber, a 143 and a 143, a run, a double, 2 RBIs, and 11 big strikeouts.
Gross.
Yeah. The Cy Young, I'm giving it to Spencer Strider, 6 1/3, a win, a walk, 11 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 079. But a shout out to everything that happened on Sunday, especially Matt and Corbin. Like those 2 guys.
And Gibson. Oh, Corbin. It wasn't Gibson. It was Corbin.
Yeah.
It was Corbin and Matz are the 2 guys that like pitched their balls off on Sunday, and like they've been terrible all year, forever.
Right.
So, yeah, good there.
His soft toss and lefties that make Rich Hill go, yeah, those are my boys.
Right. His Cy Young, well, he pitched really well this week, so I guess I'm going with Phil Maton, 2 2/3, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 13-15 and 263 over 3 appearances. But he didn't really have anything that really stood out to me other than that guy.
Right. This one hurt, and I know Frank and Ben, we can get into this now because I said at the opening, talk about having somebody's number, and you just started nodding and smiling because Ari owns Frank at this point. It's almost to a point, and Frank knows it. And I know he's listening right now, and he's going, yeah, I know you have to talk about this. He's never beaten Ari.
Yeah, I don't think he has either. It's just one of those weird things about fantasy baseball, and it's obviously the luck of the draw. The roulette board resets every single week, and it comes down to who has the hotter week. But it turns out that when Ari plays Frank, that team gets up for it. 43 runs, a 296 average, a 274 ERA over 72 innings. Get the hell out of here. He would have beaten a lot of teams this week. He just happened to be playing Frank.
Do you think there's anything, though, to the strategy in which they play, both being the yin and yang to each other?
Well, Frank has only recently been like a no bench kind of guy. So, but yes, in the sense that Frank is a more aggressive manager when it comes to making ads. I think there is something to be said is to the moves that you don't make sometimes is the better decision. And Ari doesn't make a lot of ads. He just kind of flip flops the bench a lot and plays by the numbers. So yeah, they are very different, but I think this is just kind of a coincidence that this keeps happening.
Jason, I'm going to ask you about Frank's offense here and whether or not this can be both a playoff and a championship offense with no bench. Is this something that can be done all the way to a championship?
It's gonna be tough with no bench. I mean, I guess someone gets hurt, that's a problem because he already has Sale and Urquidy on the IL spot. So, God forbid somebody gets hurt, he's gonna have to figure out what to do there. But look, the guys he's rolling out with, if you're not gonna have a bench, this is the group to do it with. Like
this is a pretty strong group to have.
It's a pretty strong offense. So like if they're all clicking, you don't really need a bench. But as soon as Lindor struggles or if Schwarber keeps struggling, he's gonna have to figure out what to do with that.
Benji, same question. Is this an offense that can make the playoffs and win a championship? Is this strategy viable?
I'm glad you asked the question to me as well. Firstly, my short answer is no. I don't really know what the hell Michael Harris 2 is. What I do know is a 255 average with 9 home runs, 26 RBIs, and 33 runs. To me, he's more of a proponent of the actual Atlanta Braves team that gets him going. Maybe not necessarily his skills. Like Jason said, Lindor, when he goes through his skid. With Merrifield, we've seen struggles from him. Steven Kwan, super new player. Kyle Schwarber, such a streaky player. So right there on the offense, the answer is no. And as far as the pitching goes, it's a nice rotation, but he doesn't have a real bullpen. Like he doesn't have a closer. And unless he gets the bye, unless he only has to have 2 matchups in the playoffs, I do not believe that this team can win a championship. Not against very, very skilled managers, plus not having closers, like the ability to win saves. He's already giving up saves right off the bat. So I got to say no for a championship. Playoffs based on schedule and this team, absolutely.
Okay.
And, as somebody who has also punted saves, but like, I have guys like McGuff and guys who can fall into a save. The guys he has in this bullpen, there would have to be a lot of injuries in the Brewers or the Astros or the Yankees bullpen for any of these guys to even come close to getting a save opportunity.
Yeah, he's definitely just playing middle relievers and quantity over saves. Like just get as many relief appearances as I can and win that and split those categories every week. That's obviously the strategy. I just don't know that this is a viable thing to do over the long term and to go to a championship. Ben.
Correct. I would say, like, to get through the schedule, like, you could definitely get to the playoffs punting saves for sure. But can he win saves against Mike Haber? No. Can he win saves against Josh Haber? No. Can he win saves against Russo? No. Can he win saves against Kostas? No. Can he win saves against Henry? No. Can he win saves against me? No. Can he win saves against Joe? No. Can he win against Jason? Sure, maybe, but like I've already just listed 8 managers that are in the hunt, So like already he's down, and then he's also playing a very, very skilled manager. So like, yes, like he could get through a couple of matchups in the playoffs, but like he would need the bye, I think. I don't think he could win 3 in a row. That's just my opinion. I could be dead wrong.
Yeah. That's how I see it too. A playoffs berth is completely possible. A championship three win run is going to be really hard. Anything else to add on this one, guys? Jason, what's our last one for tonight?
So that's going to be Kostas taking a 13-7 win over Josh Haber, who, by the way, I do want to. He pointed this out to me, and I definitely want to call it out because I think it's pretty impressive. He is the only manager in the league that has won at least 7 categories every single week. So he has never lost anything
bit worse than this.
Less than 7. Like, yeah. So I thought that's pretty incredible. So, and that's why he's in first place. So good on you, Josh. The big win over from Kostas does move Kostas up into 6th, into that last playoff spot. This was a kind of a big, a beatdown. It got pretty wild over the weekend. The Kostas' league got bigger and bigger. Josh was able to bring it back in on Sunday, but overall it was a good week for Kostas. The close categories: Kostas wins by 3 doubles, a triple, 3 homers by a batter, 2 RBIs, a steal, 4 strikeouts by a batter, .003 on the on base, and 3 saves. Josh wins by a win, a loss, and a homer allowed, and they tied in strikeouts. On Kostas' bench, he goes 4 for 19.
Really?
I'll go 211.
I'll go 2. Really? Is that it?
That's it. Nailed it.
I look at this stuff too often, guys.
211, 4 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. None of it plays.
Wow.
He won all the offensive categories except for average and error. So yeah, it was really just
this is another guy who put up 8 steals and lost.
I know. That's what I was laughing at in the beginning. I'm like, can you imagine getting 8 steals and losing? Not just losing by 1. It's like, give me a break. It's gonna beat me. Get like 13.
Yep. Kostas made 4 ads. Dropped Rich Hill for Michael Garcia, 2 for 3 with a solo bomb and 2 walks. Dropped Mickey Moniak for IKF, 2 for 4 with a double. Dropped IKF for Lucas Sims, an inning, a save, 2 strikeouts, nothing earned over a relief appearance. And then dropped Drew Smiley for Mark Leiter Jr., who did not appear. For his key players, his MVP is Freddie Freeman, 385 with a 385, 7 runs, 3 doubles, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal, and 5 strikeouts. Because, of course, Freddie Freeman's going to steal the bag that's going to win the category. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to 4 from Willie Castro.
Yeah, that I don't know where that came from either, but
yeah,
why is Willie Castro even a thing?
4 steals and 5 walks from that guy.
It's just that the Twins, like, they're in first place, kind like they are, but it's like the worst division I've ever seen.
They're in first place. They're in first place by default.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Like, someone has to play
exactly
and do things.
Yeah. His least valuable hitter is gonna be Lourdes Gurriel, 067 with a 125, a run, a homer, and RBI, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. He did bench him on Friday. There was a homer and a big game for him on Friday. That would have improved that, but nonetheless, he did not get him in. So there you go.
Yeah.
The Cy Young. Welcome back, Alek Manoah. 6 innings, a win, 8 strikeouts, a 150 and 083. Is he back?
Let's hope so, for the Blue Jays' sake.
Yep. And the Cy Youngs are going to be Andrew Heaney and Reed Detmers because they pretty much had the same exact line. Heaney with 3 innings, a loss, 3 homers, a walk, 4 strikeouts at 21 and a 3. Detmers 3 1/3, a loss, 3 homers, a walk, 4 strikeouts, 18-19 and 210. They were twins.
Gross. That is gross.
That's awful. For Josh Haber on his bench, okay, he goes 13 for 43.
Oh, son of a bitch.
That's annoying.
Yeah, that is annoying. It's firstly, unfortunately for Josh, I'm going to guess some of these end up playing as far as his ability to like maybe win a couple offensive stats.
Yeah.
Is it 347?
308.
302.
Jeez, I am off. Good job, Joe.
Thanks, man.
302, 12 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 9 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts.
There's the steal.
Yeah, the steal. It was the steal was Cody Bellinger.
How many RBIs did you say?
9. He only needed 2 of them to tie it.
To tie it.
Yeah, and really, it happened on Monday. He had Bogarts on the bench, 3 for 3 with 2 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, and a walk. There you go. Yeah. He had a couple of starts on the bench that weren't great, but strikeouts ended up being tied, so he could have flipped the strikeouts. He used 10 ads this week, dropped Cole Irvin for Bryce Terang, 0 for 3 with a run, a walk, and a strikeout. Dropped Danny Jansen for Francisco Alvarez, which was after the bell, but Alvarez had an incredible week. So that was probably the pickup of the week there. He added Miguel Vargas, who wasn't in the lineup, and then he dropped Miguel Vargas for Luis Rengifo, who went 1 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout. Dropped that guy for Wilmer Flores, 3 for 4. Dropped Brian De La Cruz for Enyel De Los Santos, an inning, a walk, a 2 whip, and a relief appearance, when De La Cruz went 3 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, and a walk.
Oof.
Yeah. Dropped Wilmer for Jose Cuas, inning, and a relief appearance, and picked up our new friend Trevor Gott, an inning, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. Dropped those 2 guys for Kyle Freeland, 6 1/3, a loss, a homer, 3 walks, a 142, and a 158, and then dislocated his right shoulder trying to field a bunt. That sucked.
Wow, that really sucks.
Yeah, it does. It was his right shoulder. It wasn't his throwing shoulder. So there's hope that.
What are you laughing about, Jason? It's not funny.
How did he do it though?
I don't know. I didn't see the replay.
Okay.
I'm guessing the bunt. The way I'm seeing it in my head is the bunt went to the third base side. He went to go field it and tried to throw and landed on his shoulder and dislocated it.
Jeez.
That's how I'm seeing it. But
sorry, I got really defensive, but I have a shoulder dislocation problem. So.
I was there. I seen it.
I'm not laughing.
I think we could all see it.
He finally dropped Taj Bradley for Tim Hill, inning, a walk, a strikeout, a whip, and a relief appearance. His key players, I really wanted to give it to Alvarez, but Ellie De La Cruz is just ridiculous. 467 with a 469, 7 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, 7 steals, a walk, 7 strikeouts. The 7 steals, I mean, he still lost the category, but come on.
There has to be a sac fly in there too, or a sac bunt or something, because the 1 walk to only get 2 ticks up on the on-base percentage from the batting average doesn't really math for me. So there had to be something in there.
Probably. His least valuable hitter is going to be Nick Castellanos, a 120 with a 154, a run, a homer, and RBI, a walk, and 12 strikeouts.
He's having a pretty decent bounce back year, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's hitting 301 with 13 homers and 55 RBIs. So
I'd say that's a nice bounce back season.
Absolutely. The Cy Young is going to be Logan Webb, 15 2/3, a win, 2 walks, 21 strikeouts, a 115 and a 102, including a complete game shutout on Sunday.
Well done, sir.
Beautiful. And again, he pitched to a 187 ERA for the week and still lost. So you pick a Cy Young. I guess it's Pierce Johnson because he's the only guy with double-digit ERA. over 2/3 of an inning, but this was a masterpiece pitching week.
Yeah, I'll say so.
And he still lost the week.
He still lost the week, but he's still in first place.
Yep.
He's still the cream of the crop right now, and he's crushing it. Even with this bad offensive week against Kostas, 32 run scores plays, 9 bombs plays, 28 RBI should play, 8 stolen bases should win most weeks. This is amazing. Steals are up across the league in general, but still, getting 8 in a week, you should win.
Yeah, 336 on base, yeah.
These are great numbers. These are great numbers that will play most weeks. Is this team the best in the league, and will it finish first, Ben?
Well, good question. Is it the best team in the league? It might be the most balanced, the most complete team in the league. Being first place or getting the bye, that's really, really tough to say. To me, it all depends on scheduling. Josh does not have the easiest schedule going forward. He actually has a pretty darn challenging one, if you ask me. He'll start with Frank, and then Henry, and then Joe, and then Adam, and then myself, James McCloskey, Brian Lebo, Ari to finish it. It gets a little easier but right off the bat after the break, it's pretty challenging.
Yeah, he's not getting any of the 2 cupcakes we're calling this year. So,
no.
I mean, but eventually, God, if he gets Jordan Alvarez back and can plug him into left field instead of Marcelo Ozuna, that just, to me, I think that solidifies him.
As long as Alvarez is healthy and is able to continue, what he normally would be.
Yeah, if he's the Alvarez that we all know and love, that to me, that lineup just becomes just absolutely murder's row to me.
Yeah, as long as Ellie De La Cruz is the real deal, and he can there might be a point where the scouting report gets on him, and then all of a sudden he could.
Yeah, but he's doing things. He's doing things that even the scouting report, the way he's stealing bases, he stole 3 bases in the same inning,
right?
Doing things like that, that to me just says he is something different.
Speed doesn't slump. I get it, but let me just finish. Every single player that we see explode on the scene, we always say something like this about him, whether it's Yasiel Puig or even to an extent like Bryce Harper. When we see
Aristides Aquino is the name that I am just screaming in my head.
Fine. I mean, there's so many. Chris Shelton, right?
Yeah.
You're just oh my God, this guy's. They all slump. It is going to happen.
Yeah.
Look at Julio.
Julio's a great example too. Now, Josh does have Xander Bogaerts. He does have another shortstop. So even if that happens, it's not like he doesn't have a way to protect it. So that's what's awesome about this team. It's very balanced. It's got a great bench. There's a lot of moving parts that work. So yeah, there are some question marks. Sure, I don't know why Cody Bellinger has been this awesome. Maybe it's because he's a former MVP, but I didn't blame James McCloskey when he dropped Cody Bellinger at the beginning of the season. He started off 1 for 15. He was like, fuck this guy. And I respected the fact that he was just no, I was wrong about him. I gave him the chance because it's a fresh new year, but no, it's just the same guy that Uncle Barry picked up in 2021, So will these guys continue it? Can it sustain? And my bigger question is if he doesn't get the bye, if let's say Mike Haber and Bobby get the byes here, can this team win 3 in a row and win it all?
It's built to do that. It really, really is, with the Colorado guys and the 2 closers, and the rotation of Alcantara, Webb, Rodon, John Gray. The pitching is good enough.
Good enough. It's not world beating rotation, in my opinion.
It's solid.
It's solid.
When they're all right, when Sandy pitches right and Logan Webb pitches right, then yeah, I think that those two and anybody as the third can carry that for a week.
Right. Not necessarily getting the wins, but it could keep the ERA down and WHIP down enough.
Yes.
Again, it's like we're talking about the playoffs, right? We're talking about 3 matchups in a row. And we're talking about having to, at some point, maybe having to beat like 2 great managers in a row, that are also going to be playing by the score. It's really, really hard to say. But if I could just flip it over to Kostas and what he has done here, and I don't know if he's surprising you guys, it doesn't surprise me where he's at right now.
No, Kostas has been putting in work for weeks now and just like slowly chipping away and making his way up the standings. And I'm happy with. I'm proud of this dude. This dude has worked his ass off this year.
Yeah, I respect. Yeah. Go ahead, Jason. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. Please.
No, he's making all the right moves. Like I feel like, I mean, Willie Castro. When Willie Castro is working for you, things are going right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've expected the patience. When for Fernando Tatis right in the beginning of the season, like that was a 2nd round pick. I'm willing to wait it out. Alejandro Kirk, to an extent, and then cut ties. Trevor Story, he's making his way back. I was, laughed at a little bit when I said that the Boston Red Sox are making the playoffs this year. I still believe that. And one of the reasons was because Trevor Story at some point is going to be like a mid-season acquisition for them. And I knew that Adam Duvall was coming back at a certain point. And I thought that, that it's like the Boston Red Sox generally have a way of sticking around and fighting through some tough times in a season. And they seem to be able to sustain all that. So Kostas has this group that's a little bit unusual. You kind of wonder why, like, all of a sudden Loris Gurriel is in that lineup and Spencer Steer is in the lineup and he needs to be played. And, you got a struggling Giancarlo Stanton, but I'm always waiting for that big, insane home run streak of Giancarlo Stanton that could happen. There's enough speed. There's enough in the bullpen. I kind of wonder with the rotation, but how do you guys feel about this team being in the playoffs or even going on a deep run?
Jason, let's start with you.
Yeah, what you just said, it's very balanced. I think if I have to point to one player on this roster to be kind of like the wild card, it's Alek Manoah. If Alek Manoah is 2022, this is a dangerous team. If he is 2023 up until last week, that might be a different story. But because like then just you're relying on Zach Gallen and Alex Cobb, I don't know what else. But the bullpen is really strong. The offense is really strong. I think this is a dangerous team. This is a dangerous team, and it's like you said, it's still Kostas. He makes the right moves. He knows what he's doing.
Joe?
Fernando Tatis isn't having the season that I think we all thought he would. I mean, granted, he's still quite good. 16 homers, 14 steals, and a 288 batting average. But I think the Padres on the whole have been struggling. And I think that's part of the reason. That's his number 2 hitter right behind Freddie Freeman, who's been an MVP candidate for every single year he's been in the majors. So there's no reason to think that that's going to change. After that, it's kind of a question mark for me on this team. Real Muto's a nice third piece. But Stanton, Gurriel, and McCarthy as the outfield scares me. Willie Castro is the 4th outfield utility guy alongside JD Martinez now. I don't know, man.
Martinez is an all-star. Martinez has had a good year.
I agree that Martinez has had a nice season. 255, 303 on base, 22 bombs. That's nice. Do I think it's a playoff team? I think it's fringe, and I think it's with a whole bunch of teams that are going to be fighting. What's his schedule look like the rest of the year?
I was about to tell you. So it comes out of the break facing Matt Losi without Mike Trout. Then it gets a little tough. It's Mike Haber, then Jason, then Bobby. But then he does get Christian right after. So he bookends Matt Losi and Christian between those three tough players, and then Mike Sherman, Frank, and finishes with Henry Collins.
Those are all guys in the hunt with the exception of the two cupcakes that you talked about. So for me, it's there for the taking. It most certainly is there for the taking, but you're going to have to beat more than just those two guys in order to get in.
What if he clobbers those two guys, though?
Even so, I think he would need at least one more win out of those 8 weeks, right? He can't just win the two against the cupcakes and call it a day. I think that's time for Managers of the Week, Jason, and we're only doing yours because we're doing a show later this week.
That's
so,
right.
Jason, who's your number 3 Manager of the Week this week?
I'm going to give it to the guy we just talked about, actually. I'm going to give it to Kostas, taking down the number 1 team in the league. And again, just he only made a few moves, but they were the right moves. And he's right now sitting in a playoff spot. So I had to give him credit. Good job, Kostas.
Yeah, absolutely. Great week, beating the top team, putting in a pretty good stamp on I'm going to be in this hunt and I should be taken seriously. I need to be considered a threat here. So beating that top team, totally worth it. Number 2.
I got to give it to my opponent, Mike Sherman. Just completely caught me off guard, and I could not get my footing against him, and he did everything he needed to do. Didn't make a ton of moves, but he did what he needed to do, and now he is, like we talked about, he's in the hunt now all of a sudden. So congrats to you, Mike Sherman.
Yeah, he's right there with me. We're both 18 back. So there's 6 guys, and we're paired off into groups of 2. It's Bobby and Mike, it's Ben and Frank, and then it's me and Sherman down toward the bottom. Kind of hilarious.
That's funny.
Who you got at number 1?
Henry Collins. For pretty much, I would think putting a fork in Lebo's season, if we're calling it that, putting down in the 14th with an 18-2 win, and also just launching himself up the standings, and now he is right there in the thick of things. So for a rookie to be doing that in this league, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that one next show.
Yeah.
But this has been crazy. Guys, I did promise you records from week 13 because I took that week off. Only 2 records were set for the season. Matt Losi set the lowest number of walks offensively with 6. And Matt Losi also had a 214 batting on base percentage. That was the lowest. Yeah, not the worst ever. Not the worst ever, because that's an ugly number. This was an ugly number too. This week, Matt Losi set the futility record for the season for runs with 12. And finally, I'm going to leave you with this little nugget here, Benji, and I want you to think on this. Last year, at this time, no team, the first place team did not yet have 100 losses. It was me at 159, 95, and 19. Take a look at the standings now and notice that no team has fewer than 122 losses at the same point in the season.
It just shows that there's a lot more parity this year, whereas if there was a couple of dominant teams last year with you and Chris Levy, it's great for the league. It means that there's a lot of guys in the hunt, and it could get even crazier in the next couple of weeks.
No doubt. Some more fun facts about last season to this season, guys. Obviously, at this point, 11 teams are within 18 games of first place.
Amazing.
Last year, at this time, there was only 1 team within 18 and a half games of first place, and that was Chris Levy. The entire standings currently would fit between first and 14th in last year's standings. The entire group, including Matt Losi, would fit between first and 14th last year. If you exclude Losi and Christian, they would all fit between first and 6th.
Wow.
including Brian Lebo at 27 back. This whole thing would fit inside of the playoffs of last season's standings.
It's crazy. It's absolutely wild.
That's the kind of week we're having. That's the kind of year we're having here, guys. No less than, I would say, 14 teams in a hunt right now. And we're starting to pick them off. Jason, you alluded to it with Henry being the manager of the week. I don't think Lebo's done, but this is a very large nail. This is a very large nail.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for being here. Jason, thanks so much, man.
Absolutely, guys. This was fun. It was Home Run Derby Monday, and now it's All-Star Week, and ready to see what the second half has in store for us. It's going to be, if it's anything like the first half has been, it's going to be an absolutely incredible ride. I can't wait to see what happens.
There's going to be no less than like 5 guys who get their hearts broken this year. Benji, you have created a monster, and this is the perfect storm I think you always wished would happen, is like almost every team in the hunt for the playoffs, right?
Yes, this group has made me a very happy commissioner. I'm very grateful as always. And like Jason mentioned, it's bound to be really wild down the stretch. And I hope that the guys are actually feeling the pressure and that they actually feel like they're going through the grind of the baseball season, that every day seems that valuable to win, that you need to win that day. And if you can't, turn the page, try to win the next day. If you can't win the week, try to wipe that slate clean and go to the next one, because anything can happen. And I think that this season has proven, with a lot of the upsets that we've seen, anything can happen. And one of these teams is going to have a magical ride.
Absolutely, man. Somebody's going to put their name on that trophy at the end of the year. And I'm getting the feeling more and more like the last name might have to be starting with an H and rhyming with Blaber. Thank you guys so much for watching. Without you, we would not have this league. Without this league, we would not have a podcast. So we thank you guys once again, as always, for giving us the content. Until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you guys next time.